Hi, hello, I'm Bonbon. Nice to meet you and welcome to my brand new segment, the long-awaited book review / book talk. I'm working on the name here. This segment is specifically for my book-loving girlies. Girlies, gender neutral here. So if you love reading as much as I do, please continue to tune in and fangirl with me and talk about all of the different things. If you're not much of a reader yourself, but you don't mind tuning in to listen into what's going on, please feel free to go ahead and jump into the conversation, and just maybe you might find out that you are a book-loving girly. Now, the books that I will be going over will be things that I have a physical copy of. Most of these will be from the library. That's the top, okay? Most of these will be available on the Libby app as well. So this new segment of mine will contain spoilers. I'm not going over every single thing in the book, okay? I am going over the highlights that matter most to me, that I want to talk about, and then I will give my final thoughts at the end. All right, with all that being said, go ahead and grab whatever you're drinking. I am using my shiny mug today. Can you see it? Will you focus? Is it focusing? We'll find out when I'm editing this, okay? My shiny mug, and I am drinking Ticino today. Vanilla nut roast, right? Ticino. Now, I guess it's a blend between it's coffee-ish and tea-ish or whatever. That's what the makers say. So looks like this if you're interested. Yes, it does look like coffee, but it's not. I'm not a coffee drinker, you know? All that aside, go ahead and get cozy and let's jump right into it. All right, first up on the docket, we are getting into Crave. Now, this is a series that has at least 6 books in it, maybe 7, I don't know. It looked like a lot, and honey, I'm here for it. It was written by Tracy Wolff, and the first book, Crave, came out in 2020. Where was I? Was I? I didn't have a library card yet. If I had, the Panasonic would have gone very differently for me. All right, so the book begins with our main character, Grace Foster. Now, she has your typical parents died story, so now she has to go live with her family who are in Alaska trope, right? Now, specifically Grace, in my mind, because I always have to assign my characters looking like something, looking like somebody, right? In my mind, I took the girl from after, listen, walk with me. I took the girl from after, the girl that plays Tessa, okay, her name is actually Josephine Langford, which turns out, just a little tidbit here, the girl that plays from Tessa from After is sisters with the girl that was the girl from 13 Reasons Why. Catherine Langford? Yeah, they sisters, they blood sisters, I know! Okay, so boom, so Grace. So her parents passed away in a car accident. She's from California, mind you, this is important. LA, I think. California. Parents passed away, now she's under guardianship of her uncle, I think his name is Finn. I've listened to the series and I'm still missing some people's names. So Uncle Finn, who is the headmaster of a school in Alaska. So she gets there and it takes her forever to get there. You know, the plane ride from LA to Alaska, and then she has to get on like one of them thangy things, and they snowboard across the thing to the school. It takes forever. Sis is exhausted by the time she gets there. All right, so her and her cousin Macy, Finn's daughter, are catching up on the way down there, and then they're rooming together, they're dorming together. So they get to the school, which is actually a castle, okay? I'm talking Hogwarts style castle. Mind you, okay, this story kind of has Twilight parallels and Harry Potter parallels, okay? Twilight by way of there's vampires here and the girl falls in love with the vampire. Duh, that's why we're all here, right? Great. Harry Potter by way of dead parents, magical school, castle, wild happenings happening to young people. Okay, so she gets there and they go inside, and she was like, Macy tells Grace to hang out in the it's like a foyer type lounge type situation, you know, where the students all kind of congregate. fireplace, couches, bookshelves, board games, that sort of thing. So she's like, hang out here, I'm gonna go get my uncle and then we're gonna get you all situated and stuff, right? Enter main male lead, okay? Jackson Vega. Jackson with an X because he's edgy and dark and brooding. Now, again, okay, in my mind, Jackson Vega is dude from after again. Listen, walk with me. Dude from after Hardin. Real name is Hero Phineas Tiffin. And he walks up to her because she's looking at one of the board games, like this is a chess game, and she's picking up a piece that looks like a dragon. You know, the chess pieces aren't like traditional pieces. So she's looking at it, she's like, oh, this is really interesting. Jackson walks up and he was like, hey, dragons are pretty dangerous, better watch out. And she's looking at it and she's like, well, it's a chess piece. It's not real. And Jackson is like, well, I mean, you'd be surprised. Mind you, okay. After this, they have a little tit for tat. They're going back and forth, da, 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 and then Jackson tells her, hit the bricks, get out of here. You don't belong here. It's not safe for you. You might get hurt, all that. Now, it's not a meet cute, but she is intrigued because evidently she keeps telling us that this dude is fine as hell. She's like, oh my God, tall, dark, and brooding. He's got dark hair. He's got a mysterious scar on his face. Like, he's got all of the makings of like, dude's an asshole, but I'm kind of into it. Listen, you have to be a little bit delusional to get into this situation, right? You gotta be a little, let's all just agree that birds of a feather flock together. All right, we all have a little bit of a bird in us. And Grace is a complete and utter duck. So this dude is not nice to her. He's cutting his eyes at her. He's being rude. He's all of these things. But she's like, okay, yeah, he's a dickhead. But what the abs talking about though? Because I know he got him, sort of thing, right? Everybody in this room is looking at her crazy. I mean, they're either like grimacing at her, or they're cutting eyes at her, they're shading her, or they're completely ignoring her altogether. Not like a good welcome. And she's kind of thinking like, what kind of school is this? What's happening here? Why do I seem to be enemy number one suddenly? At this point, Uncle comes, meets with her and says, hey, welcome to, girl, what is the name of the school? Something more. Gladmore? Broadmoor? Something. Baby, it's Catmere Academy. I was so off. I'm up here, Broadmoor, Catmore, child. Catmere Academy. Welcome to the school, such and such academy. We hope that you will be welcome here and have a good time. I'm so sorry about your parents, which is his brother that passed away. It's his brother. And he's like, me and Macy are so happy to have you. We love you so much. We're gonna take care of you. It's gonna be all right. So now they're heading up to the dorm room, and this is where they meet Flint, okay? Apparently Flint is a mixed boy, tall, brolic, all that. And he's really nice, and he was like, hey, new girl, I'll help you up the stairs with your luggage and stuff. And Macy's like, it's okay, Flint, I got it. Macy's like, okay, Macy's a little bit of a bird too, but listen, she knows fine when she sees it, okay? So anytime Flint is in the area, she gets real flustered. She starts babbling. Her voice gets all high-pitched, all of that. So she's like, it's okay, Flint. I got the luggage. I was okay. Flint offers to carry Macy on his back up the stairs to her dorm room. And she's just like, that's weird. That's wild. What? I don't know you. I can walk up the stairs. It's fine. Well, not really. Okay, so she goes through all that. The girl's traumatized. Her parents just died, okay? So she's dealing with that. And then she's got mean jet lag, and now she's in Alaska from California with elevation, wildly different. So now she's got elevation sickness. So Sis's head is swimming. She's not doing good. She's barely on her feet. And this is why Flint offered to carry her up. But she says no. And then he helps her up the stairs, kind of like a, you know, under the shoulder kind of thing, but he's essentially carrying her because she's kind of dead on her feet. So this is their first interaction, okay? Grace and Flint. And she's kind of like, okay, he's a nice dude. He's very, very helpful. He's kind, all these things. She gets settled in her room. This is day one, okay? She gets settled in her room. Nighttime rolls around, she can't really sleep that well. So she decides that she's gonna go and explore the school a little bit. It's dark out. People are probably in bed. She's not going to be disrupting anybody. Nobody's going to be staring at her menacingly. She figures now's a good time to go and walk around. Me? I'm not walking around a dark castle at night when nobody's around, because I know that my sense of direction is shite and I'm going to get lost. And now I'm wandering around a dark castle at night for hours until someone finds me curled up in the ball in the morning. That's me though. Grace doesn't always do the thinking, right? So she decides, I'm gonna go walk around, do my thing, do some exploring, kind of like get some stuff out of my head, do some thinking, because she's just a little too restless. She's very tired, she's very exhausted, but she's restless, okay? So she's walking around and she gets back down to like the front of the school, like that foyer in the beginning, right? I remind everybody that Alaska is very, very, very cold. And I think she arrives like, I think it's fall going into winter at this point. So it's at its coldest point, or getting to that point. She gets to the foyer, she gets to the front doors, and two dudes come walking in from outside, and they're goofing, they're playing around, and they're like, yeah, bro, that was so awesome, da da da. Sans jacket, short sleeves, and she's thinking, something's not right, but I'm gonna keep it pushing in my business. I'm gonna hightail it back to my room because that actually has nothing to do with me, and I don't know what's going on. Because how are they outside gallivanting, having a great time, teeth not chattering, no frostbite to be seen, no jacket on, dead at night, middle of Alaska, in the winter? It's just, it's clicking, but it's clicking down. Okay, she knows something's kind of weird with that, but they spot her before she can hightail it back to the bedroom. So now they approach her, not very kindly, right? And they're like, oh, you're the new girl, you're Grace Foster. Yeah, we heard all about you, because apparently Uncle Finn told the entire school body that they are having a new student coming and that it is his niece and stuff, so everybody was abreast. A little weird, right? Well, there's a reason for this. So she's like, yeah, I am she is me, and I was just heading back to my room. I got a little lost, a little turnaround, but I'm headed back. Lovely to meet you. They grab her, and they smell her. They're like, ooh, she's got something to her. I can't tell what it is, but something's going on in there. And she's panicking at this point, because she's like, I smell like something. You have your hands on me. I don't know you. Two dudes, small girl. Apparently she's short. She's got to be like under 5 foot or something, maybe 5 foot even or something. She's little. She's down here. So she's panicking at this point because she knows like all of this is a red flag type situation. Okay. They grab her and they're getting ready to haul her outside because they want to see what she can do. All of this is Greek to her. She's like, I don't know what's happening, but I do know if they take me outside, and she only has her pajamas on, right? She's wandering the halls with her pajamas on. She doesn't have outdoor clothing on at all. If she goes out there, she's going to freeze. So at this point, she's realizing that a homicide is getting ready to take place if she doesn't get away from them. They're very insistent. They're going to take her outside, and they have her like up and like walking her to the door, whatever the case may be. She starts trying to fight back. I think she like slams her head back into one of their chins or noses or something to get them to drop her and try to get away. But they're very strong and she's very not, right? So it's very dicey. It's very scary. Day one for her, right? Okay, so this is all happening, and then suddenly one of the boys goes flying across the room, slams into the wall. Now there's like a boy-shaped print in the wall, falls forward. Her and the dude that has her are very bewildered at this point. So the dude lets go and he's looking around like, what's going on? And then he goes flying back. Now Grace, bewildered, thankful that they are now away from her, but bewildered because why did they go flying across the room? So what kind of school is this? What is going on? Mind you, I want to say Macy and Jackson in his own little way, and maybe even Uncle Finn told her, okay, don't be wandering around, don't be touching nothing, don't be, getting into anything, this, that, and the third. It's a little bit of a different school here, just like mind your P's and Q's and everything will be fine. So she's looking around trying to figure out why these dudes suddenly went flying midair, because that's, all things considered, incredibly abnormal. So she looks up, and here comes Jackson Vega slowly sauntering towards them. And she's like, oh, did he make them fly back somehow? And she's like, no, that's ridiculous. But he's here, and they have unhanded me, so he seems the lesser of the threats right now. I'm gonna go ahead and walk over to him. So he comes up to her, and he's talking to the wolves, and he was like, well, what have we here? What's going on? And they were like, oh, Jackson, oh man, we weren't gonna hurt her or anything. We was just goofing, you know, we wasn't gonna do anything crazy or nothing like that. Like, we're sorry. And Grace notes this, that they're like talking to him like he's some sort of somebody, you know, like they're his subordinates or something like that. Jackson was like, see to it that it doesn't happen again. And they're like, oh, well, you know, the moon's out and it makes us a little crazy. And she notes that in particular too, because she was like, why would the moon have anything to do with y'all out here getting ready to murder me? I don't understand. But Jackson was like, listen, Grace, don't be walking around the halls at night. That's one. Let's go back to your room. I'm gonna escort you there. Now, at this point, she's not too enthused about him telling her what to do, but she also doesn't want to stay down here with these homicidal maniacs. So she's like, yeah, my best bet is to go ahead and beat feet back to the room with a bodyguard that may or may not have just tossed these wolves into the walls with his mind, maybe? Oh, side note, when they met in the foyer, when she was doing like the little chess piece and thing, and they started bickering and stuff, at some point their hands brushed, so they have like a physical little like touch moment. That's important. Keep that in mind later. All right, so now we're on day 2. Yeah, she had a very eventful first day. So now we're day 2, and she skips classes because she's disoriented. She's still not feeling very well. She needs to get her fluids and all of these things together, right? Okay, so she does that. She's lounging in bed all day. And then Macy was like, hey, maybe you would like to get some fresh air, meet some people. We're having a giant snowball fight. It's a Flint's annual snowball flight extravaganza sort of thing, right? So at first she's like, well, I don't really know. I'm still not really feeling well. And Macy's like, oh, okay, well, I mean, if you're up for it, just let me know. And then she decides to be up for it, you know, because the story needs to happen. So she gets all bundled up, and they go down there, and they're fooling around, whatever. And she's telling them that she's never played in snow before because in California it doesn't snow, at least where she was at, right? So she's never made a snowball. She's worried about making a fool of herself in front of everybody on her second day in the school. And they told her not to worry about it. They teach her how to make a snowball. They get off to it. They're having a great time, right? So at this point, they're like, we need to get up high and have an advantage. And she's like, and then there's trees, but they're pretty tall. The branches are pretty tall, okay? And she was like, I don't know how we're supposed to be getting up there. I mean, I'll just throw my snowballs from down here and it's fine. And they're like, no. We need to get up high because everybody else is gonna be up high, and it's a thing, just trust us. So Macy's take her little ass and parkour up the tree, right? I'm talking like X Games. She swings up there like it's nobody business. And at this point, Gracie's jaw is on the floor, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna have to ask her about that later. And then Flint goes ahead and just kind of like jumps up. And now Grace is like, all right, okay, is everybody here like have superpower? Like, what is happening? Like, how is it that they are just scurrying up these trees like it's nothing? So then Flint comes back down, puts her on her back, and then jumps them up there, whatever, and sets her down on like a lower branch or something like that, whatever the case may be. They're playing, everybody's having a good time, and then there's just this giant gust of wind. I'm talking like a torrent blows Grace out of the tree. Mind you, they have to be like 15 feet up in the air at this point. So if Grace falls off of this branch onto the snow, granted, I mean, it's like soft snow down below, but it's not ideal. So she's falling. Macy, too far away from her to do anything about it, starts panicking, and she's like, Flint, grab her. Flint sees that she's falling. Mind you, all of this is happening very quickly. It don't take that long to fall out of a tree, right? So Flint grabs her, turns himself so that he's the one that absorbs the shock when they hit the ground, knocks him out a little bit, but she's okay. Knocks the wind out of her, but once she gets her life back together, she's like, oh my God, Flint, oh my God, wake up, wake up, wake up. Everybody surrounds them. At this point, Jackson comes walking up again. He's always at the scene of the crime, right? Like as soon as something happens, Jackson appears. So she's smacking Flint, wake up, wake up, wake up. Finally he does, and you know, he's fine. All things considered, he's fine, but Grace does twist her ankle. Now, Jackson is pissed at Flint. Why? He was like, well, why do you have her up in the tree like that? You know it's dangerous for her. And Flint's like, it wasn't dangerous. It was fine until that wind came, and then it got dangerous, but before that it was fine. We was all cool and it was not a big deal. Jackson was like, see to it that you don't be up here bullshitting again. Now, again, Grace is really confused. Like, why is he acting like this? I'm confused. But her ankle is twisted. She needs to go ahead and head back to the castle, back to her dorm, so that she can rest it, maybe ice it up with the infirmary, that sort of thing, right? So they head back to the castle. She's insisting on walking, but she can't really put weight on it. So Jackson picks her up and is carrying her. And at this point, she's realizing like, oh, she's starting to feel a little something. Gets her to the room, lays her on the bed. Here's the thing. Macy has this like beaded curtain, I guess, over her doorway. And they have to invite Jackson into the room, right? Like, okay, go ahead and lay her down on the bed or whatever. She's not really paying attention to this, but that beaded curtain situation is there for a reason. We'll get into that later. So he gets her all comfortable on the bed and stuff, and he was like, go ahead and ice this and text me if you need anything, da 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 da. Like being really helpful, very caring, but also a little bit like nonchalant about it too. And she's confused, but she's kind of into it because she's like, okay, I'll ice it. Time goes by. He starts texting her, they're texting back and forth, and they have these little jokes, right? Knock jokes, not knock jokes, but like, why did the such and such do this, this, and this? And like, I don't know why. And then like the punchline, right? So they start doing this back and forth. They start asking each other like, what's your favorite color? What kind of movies you like? What kind of books you into? Like the getting to know each other kind of thing, right? Day 2 is going swimmingly for her, apart from almost dying, falling out of the tree. Day 3, he has a book delivered to her room and she's really excited about it. She's still resting at this point, right? Ankle's still all twisted up. She still ain't been to class yet. So day 3, she's still chilling. He has a book sent up to her. He has a smorgasbord of breakfast brought up to her, like all kinds of things. Stuff that's not even available on that day. He has her eating and she doesn't understand what kind of big deal this is. In the grand scheme of things, she knows that he's like being like really like caring and thoughtful and all of these things, but she don't know the kind of pull this guy has. So the book that he has sent to her is Twilight. She didn't ever read it before, but she was like, I'm gonna read it because it seems important to him or whatever. He wanted me to read through it or whatever. Now at this point, I'm gonna put a pin in it. I'm never quite sure she actually does get through Twilight or she has the intention to read it. Like she has it, she knows that Edward's a vampire, she knows the premise or whatever, but she's never like sat with it before, like for real. But Jackson specifically sends her Twilight because it's his way of saying like, it's not that I don't want to be friends with you. I said we shouldn't, but I do still want, like, you know, whatever. That, I mean, it really spoke to my Twilight heart. It did. I'm a Twihard, you guys. I am. I know. Yes. But that was a moment for me. So I was like, oh, okay. I like Jackson. I do. So she's doing all this. She's eating her breakfast. I think she starts reading the book and she's having butterflies and like waiting for him to text back and stuff. And Macy comes back in the room, sees the breakfast laid out. She was like, oh my God, how do you have, it was like waffles and something. And she was like, oh, Jackson sent me all this. And she was like, Jackson Vega. Mind you, earlier Macy told her to go ahead and give Jackson space. He's kind of dangerous. Just leave him be. Just don't get too involved with Jackson, whatever the case may be. Grace is not worried about none of that. She's interested in dude, and that's what she's gonna do. So boom. So Macy acquiesces, and she's like, okay, well, if you like him, then that's fine. You know, maybe he's not that bad. Maybe my information is twisted. Maybe my wires got crossed. Also, there's like little earthquakes happening sporadically here and there. There might have been one when she fell out the tree, accompanied with the wind blowing and stuff. Like there's earthquakes happening in the background. Remember that. Now I think we might be on day 3 or 4 at this point. She's kind of wandering around, and she went to the library after going to a welcome party. I think she went to class, and then after that they had like a little welcome party for Grace. This is where Macy introduces Grace to her boyfriend Cam and her friends and like a couple other factions. At this point, Grace is noticing that they are in fact factions here. There are the kids that dress in like black Armani, Gucci, Versace, like the really nice area or whatever, and that seems to be like Jackson's friends or whatever. And then there's the girls over here that dress like really nice, and they're very bejeweled and stuff, and this is Macy's crew or whatever. And then there's the dudes that had attacked her that day 1. They seem to have a little faction where they all dress the same. And there's Flint and his friends, right? And they all kind of look like they dress. Okay, so there's like 4 very different factions here that don't seem to intermingle that much. It's like you can be friends with people outside of your particular group, but it doesn't look like it happens that much. And Grace is very confused. She's clocking it. It's clicking. But again, it's clicking down. She said, what is going on? What is this school? So she has a little party or whatever, and she's not really comfortable. People aren't really welcoming to her apart from Macy, a little bit her boyfriend, and like 1 or 2 of Macy's friends. So she's like, all right, well, I'm gonna hit it. And she wanders to the library. And in the library, she hears like some chanting, some sort of language that doesn't immediately register what it could be to her. And so she's interested in this person because she wants to learn the different languages that Alaska has. So she's hoping that this person is maybe speaking one of them, and that she can kind of rub shoulders with them, make friends, and, you know, learn about this different aspect. That is now going to be a big part of her life, right? Finds the girl, and the girl's kind of startled by her or whatever. And she was like, oh, I didn't mean to like surprise you or whatever. I just heard you speaking in this beautiful language, and I wanted to come ask you about it. Okay, so this person is Eden, and Eden is like, oh, Grace, right? You're the new girl, Finn's niece or whatever the case may be. She's like, yeah, that's me, da, da, da. And they start chopping it up or whatever. And she was like, you want to come back to my room and have like a little chit chat, little session, whatever. So they go do that. They're in Eden's room now. Eden makes her some tea, and she was like, yeah, this is a special blend from home in Tokyo or whatever. So Eden's Japanese. And they get to chopping it up or whatever. And she was like, yeah, I lost my boyfriend like a year and some change ago, and I'm really devastated about it. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. But, you know, that's grief, and it takes time. Lost her boyfriend as in he died. Okay, he died. And so that's another thing that they can like kind of together, because she lost her parents, she lost her boyfriend, and so they can kind of like understand each other, comfort each other, and they have like that in common. So that's fine. Macy asks her where she's at. She's like, oh, I'm down to Eden's room. Macy come pick her up, and they go back or whatever the case. Now, Eden doesn't seem to be like too keen on Macy. She's not like that friendly to her. And Grace again clocks that. She's like, all right, well, I mean, this school's kind of weird. The friend system's kind of weird. I'm gonna just chop it up and let that be that. So they go back, whatever. She gets to talking to Jackson again, and Jackson mentions that his brother passed away. And about a year and some change ago, whatever the case may be, and she starts kind of putting 2 and 2 together to go 4. She asked Macy about it. She was like, Eden said that her boyfriend died. Jackson said his brother died. Is that Hudson? Yes, she said that her boyfriend Hudson passed away, and she was like, it's Jackson's brother Hudson. And Macy again freaks out, and she was like, oh my god, Jackson told you about Hudson? And she was like, well, not exactly. She just said that his brother died. And she was like, and Eden told you about Hudson? And she was like, well, yeah, she said that. Which is, I guess, both very, very unusual, these people are not talking about Hudson whatsoever. In fact, nobody's really talking about Hudson. We'll get to that. All right, so now we're about, I'm losing the time frame here, but this is about day 3, day 4, whatever the case may be. So now her, Grace, and Jackson are pretty much go together. They're like boyfriend, girlfriend. They caked a little bit on the phone, and now they've decided to just go ahead and be together, I guess. I don't know if it was like a formal declaration of you're my boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend kind of thing, or if they're seen together, they go together, he's very protective of her, you know, very Edward and Bella-ish, right? Now, Jackson is the type of person where people give him a lot of space in the school. Like, people respect the hell out of him. What he says goes. I'm talking when he walks down the hallway, people part like Moses. And now that Grace is up under him, people part for her now too. And she's just trying to wrap all of this around. She cannot figure out what is going on, why he seems to be top dog in the school, or whatever the case may be. It is confusing for her. But now that she is his girlfriend and everybody knows, she kind of has a different mark on her now, right? So there's a lot of people that are looking at her differently for different reasons now, okay? Half of the school's in awe that Jackson Vega decided to give her, of all people, the time of day this quickly. And the other half are the girlies that are upset because they want to be her. Why couldn't Jackson choose me? Who is this new girl? Who does she think she is? What does she got that I don't got? Now, somewhere in here, and I don't know the time frame exactly. But Cole, which was not one of the boys that attacked her on day 1, but he's like their leader. He does something to Grace. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he says. I don't remember, but he said something enough to piss Jackson off so bad that Jackson nearly kills his ass in front of the entire school. Like, he bites him. I think he bit him or something. He starts like training him or something like that. Girl, I don't know. I don't remember when and where this happens. I'm just throwing it in here before I forget about it. But he lets him go, and Grace is like Jackson, no, let him go. And I have to assume that this happens after she knows that he's a vampire. But I'm just, again. So Cole, Jackson, Grace have beef. It's up. I do think that happens later on. So anyway, so now she's on her way to class, okay? She's going to art class. She's very excited about it. She's a creative. She loves to draw. She loves to paint. She loves to do all these things. So Flint is like, well, I have art class too. I'll take you with me there. So they go through the tunnels under the school in the dungeons. And immediately Grace is like, I really don't know about any of this. This is creepy. This is scary. I'm going into a tunnel with a man that I just met 4 days ago. It's giving red flags. It's giving, I should not be doing this. So she's getting ready to see if she can run back, because she's just like, none of this feels good. Is that a dungeon over there? Is that a skeleton? In fact, listen, it's not for me. I thought I could, but I can't. She's getting ready to run back because she's feeling so uncomfortable with Flint, with the dungeon, with everything. She turns around, Eden comes through the door, so she's like, okay, well, it's not just me. There's another woman down here. It's fine. Okay, so they head to class. Eden and Flint are kind of going back and forth a little bit. They're bickering. It's not like bad or anything, but there's like a little banter there that Grace is again clocking. They get to class, and she has a good class time or whatever. But while they were in the tunnel, there was another earthquake. I'm talking, she's worried that this shit might cave in. And genuinely, it might. And what are all these tremors? What are all these earthquakes? What is going on? So she gets to class and she texts Jackson, and she was like, oh my gosh, we were in the tunnels coming to art class, and there was another earthquake. Are you okay? Whatever the case. And he was like, yeah, I'm okay. I was just waiting to hear from you. Da 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 da. Here's where the meat and potatoes start. And for me, I already knew something was up. But okay, so her and Jackson, I think, are in maybe his room or somewhere in his area, somewhere in his spot, his lair, his place, his dorm. And they in there getting a little touchy-feely. They get to necking, they get to kissing, they doing all this, and then you know, boyfriend, girlfriend things. And another earthquake hits. And it's a big one. It's a big one. The glass window that they were standing in front of shatters. That shattered glass catches Grace across her throat. Honey is about to be out of here in 0.5 seconds if something don't happen. So she's down. When she comes to, okay, she's in the infirmary at this point. Uncle Flynn, Flynn is there, the nurse is there, Macy is there. Macy's crying. She's like, oh my God, Grace, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Again, I mean, it is day like 4 at this point. She's had 3 near-death experiences at this point, and like pretty serious ones. This one is the seriousest so far. So she comes to, and she's talking about what happened, and her neck is all bandaged up and stuff, and Finn and Macy was like, oh, you got cut from glass. Apparently Jackson said the window broke and a shard cut you, and he got you here just in time. You got stitched up and you're bandaged up. Don't take the bandage off though. And that kind of catches her ear like anybody else would. And she's like, well, I don't, what the fuck? What you mean don't take the bandage? So she takes the bandage off because duh, yeah, don't say it like that. So she takes it off, takes a look what's going on. And she realizes that she got cut in the artery that her mother got cut in the accident. So she knows just how close she was to clocking out her shift. And so she's looking at it, and there's 2 puncture marks on her neck which look like vampire bites. But that's ridiculous. That's preposterous, because it looks like a vampire bit her, and vampires aren't real. So at this point she's panicking, and she was like, okay Macy, get to talking, tell me something, because I'm looking in the mirror right now, okay? And sis, it looks like I have vampire marks on my neck, and ain't nobody finna gaslight me, ain't nobody finna tell me that I'm crazy, because I'm looking at it and you're seeing it too. So what's happening? What happened to me? So at this point Macy's like, all right, okay, yeah, Jackson bit you. And she's like, pause.
Boy, if you
pause. Jackson bit me. What do you? She's like, listen, this is a school for magical creatures. Okay, and this is why we told you not to be roaming around doing anything and everything. Don't be touching all kinds of stuff. Don't be, because this is a magical school with magical beings. Okay, I'm a witch. My dad, Uncle Finn, is a warlock, wizard, whatever. Okay, the infirmary nurse, the one that patched you up, is also a witch. No, she's a vampire. She's a vampire. Jackson's a vampire. Flint's a dragon. Cole's a werewolf. Those boys that attacked you are werewolves. Eden is a vampire. And did I hit everybody? I think so. Mekki is Jackson's friend, vampire. All these things, right? And so now Grace is just like, she's taking all this to the face right now, and she's like, you're actually lying to me. You think I'm stupid. Okay, that's one, and we'll circle back to that. But I'm gonna need the truth of the matter here. But why do I have bite marks on my neck? Because it just sounds like you told me that my boyfriend's a vampire, and I just kind of think that and then she starts thinking about the Twilight book, and then she starts thinking about the conversations that they were having, and she was realizing that she has never actually seen him eat before, and there do seem to be like these big things in the cafeteria that look like they're filled with red juice. And she's kind of starting to put things together, and then she was like, okay, you said you're a witch, right? Go ahead and show me some. If you're a witch, then go ahead and show me something. So Macy makes something float. She grabs something from the other side of the room, and she's showing her that she could do little magic things or whatever, little magic things. So at this point, she's like, okay, if you're a witch, my uncle's a wizard, do I got something to me too? And then Macy's like, well, I don't know. See, that's the thing, because it seems like you should be a magical being too, because almost everybody in her family is, but you appear to just be human. But you might not also just be human. Maybe it just hasn't become apparent on, you know, what you might have going on, which again reaches back to the boys in the beginning when they smelled her and they said, she's got something going on. I don't know what it is, but she's got something going on. So she's like, okay, that's crazy. And then she starts thinking about like, well, was her parents something? The father was, okay, the father was something. I think maybe he was a wizard, warlock, something. And when he decided to hook up with Grace's mom, he forfeited his powers, and so he doesn't have them anymore. But that doesn't mean that they wouldn't have a magical child, right? So Grace. So at this point, she's just, so much is going on. She's, why did my parents tell me? I can't believe this. Like, there's a lot of, like, all of these fantasy creatures are actually real, and I'm in school with them, and nobody thought that was something that they should tell me about. And so she starts getting on her about that, and Gracie was like, well, Macy was like, well, I thought you should have knew, but Uncle Finn said that it might just be too much to take in. She was like, yeah, well, I've almost died 3 separate times now, and it might have been helpful to me to know just what kind of danger I was actually in, because I thought I was in a regular school. Mind you, this would have been like, okay, think Harry Potter, right? This would be like if Harry went off to Hogwarts and nobody told him that you're a wizard, Harry. Never happened, okay? When he goes to Hogwarts, everybody there is a witch and wizard, and nobody tells him anything. Nobody does any kind of magic in front of him, because Dumbledore told them all to keep it a secret from this boy in particular. This is a human boy, and we're not trying to scare him or anything like that. That's how wild this is. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Mind you, we're about day 4 or 5 at this point. I really don't know. I mean, it's definitely within the first week for sure still. So this is where she starts asking a little bit more questions, and she starts finding out about Jackson. And I don't remember who tells her this information in particular. Maybe it was Macy. Maybe it was Jackson. I feel like maybe it was Macy. I don't know. Anyway, she finds out that the reason why Jackson has so much power in the school, okay, is because he is the vampire prince, okay? So his dad, Cyrus Vega, is like the vampire king. His mother, whatever her name is, Vega, vampire queen, and they sit on this thing called the circle. Now, the circle is similar to what we would think of from Harry Potter is the Ministry of Magic. Like, these are the people that are in charge, and they set these different rules and da-da-da-da. Now, Cyrus, in my mind, no, we don't really meet him until book 2, so we'll get there. But in my mind, I assigned him the dude from The Boys, Homelander, Anthony Starr. I mean, that's the kind of time that Jackson's dad is on, okay? So people with that in mind, they give Jackson a lot of space, and they give him a lot of, because also Jackson is very strong, okay? Jackson is very, very strong. Very, like, you can't do nothing with me strong, okay? Let's assume that people in the school, let's give them a power level of, let's say this cup right here, okay? This is a regular mug, all right? Let's say if this was filled to the brim with water, that is their power level. That's where they're at, okay? Now, Jackson, for comparison, all right, let's go ahead and say that his power is like an Olympic swimming pool. Y'all not finna tell him nothing. Y'all not finna do nothing with him. He's just, it's good night. Have a seat. Okay, Bookie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
You know, you not really, nah. It's you not. Now, did I overblow that a little bit? Maybe a little bit. But I'm just saying, people can't really go toe to toe with him. Not really. Now, some will try, and we will get there. But it's not really a competition here, okay? Like, Jackson is that boy. So she gets to talking to Jackson about everything, right? And she learns about his scar. And it turns out his scar was given to him by his mother because of Hudson's death. Now Grace is like, well, that's not your fault that your brother died. I can't believe it. And Jackson was telling her like that was the worst day of his life, right? And so she was like, that was the worst day of your life. It's not your fault that your brother died. Da, da, da. And he's like, well, it is. And she was like, no, it's not. And he's like, well, it is because I killed him. And she was like, oh. Well, let's go ahead and hear the rest of the story. So then Jackson tells her that he killed his brother because he had to, because apparently Hudson was getting ready to do like some genocidal, homicidal type shit. And he was like, I can't let this fly. I'm not going to sit down and let that happen. So he had to kill Hudson. Boom, got him out of here. His mother felt a way about that, and so she gave him a scar. She cut his face, and apparently it's very, very, very astronomically hard to hurt a vampire and leave a mark behind because they heal very quickly, right? And so she did that to him specifically and made it so that it would scar because she wanted to shame him. It kind of shows like a weakness. It shows people on the outside that this person has been hurt, can be hurt, okay, and that they might be vulnerable or whatever. So it's kind of like a mark of shame, right? And that's why he hates his scar so much. But Grace kind of fucking with it though. She's kind of like, ooh, it makes him a little rugged and stuff, you know. But that's the story on that. So Jackson is the reason why Hudson is dead, because in his mind he was stopping a genocide. I guess people thought that Hudson wanted to usurp everybody that wasn't a vampire, get them all out of here because whatever reasons. And they wasn't having it. Flint, his big brother, also died around that time because he was involved in all of that. I don't really know what side he was on. I don't really know what he was doing necessarily, but he died in that scrimmage too. He couldn't squabble. All right, so that happens, and then we hear how Jackson, Flint, and Eden all used to be best friends, and you know, ever since that happened, and then they all kind of fell apart, and now they're not really cool anymore. It's not like immediate animosity, but they're not cool anymore. It is not the same whatsoever. So all that, and then she's, you know, talking about being a vampire and all that. She's asking her questions and stuff, and then they get into a little sexy bite, where he, you know, bites her on the neck, and then it's just like pleasure, euphoria. It's just all of these sensual sensations. She can't get enough of it. She's addicted to what he's addicted now, or at least would be. I'm assuming this is what this is kind of like for her. I'm assuming this is what it's like for her. Something happens where he starts talking about Flint. Jackson starts talking about Flint, and he was like, listen, I need you to stay away from him. He's not safe. It's not cool. It's all bad. Da 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 da. And she starts listening to that. She's like, okay, I'm gonna take you at face value with that. I don't understand why you feel this way, but I mean, you know, you're my man, and he's a good friend or whatever, but I'm gonna just see. I forget what happened to get them to this place for Grace to not really be seeing it for Flint. Something happened, I forget, you just have to read about it, but at this point he's trying to make back cool with her, right? And he's like, hey new girl, come chill with me at the table, let's talk, whatever. So she's in this, we're in the lunchroom now, right? So she goes over to his friend's table, and a motherfucking chandelier fall from the sky. Not the sky, from the ceiling. I'm talking a big one. Mind you, we're in a castle. So a chandelier size that fits a castle, okay? It comes raining down, and she is getting ready to get smushed. And is this like the third thing that happened to her? The fourth thing that happened to her? Like, and mind you, we've got to be like on day 6 now. Like, it's a very long week for her. So she almost gets smushed. Somebody saves her. I don't know. Maybe Jackson pull her out the way. Maybe it's Macy. Somebody pull her out the way. And Jackson is pissed. And this actually might be where him and Cole started fighting, and he almost drained him from the school because he blamed Cole because it was like Cole's fault or something. Maybe. I don't know. Something like that. But it's up for them. It's up for them from this point on. Skip 2, and it's really bothering Grace that Eden and Jackson are not cool anymore. Like, it's very clear that they used to be good friends. It's very clear that they do miss each other to an extent. She was like, listen, maybe y'all should fix it. She has that conversation at some point with Eden, and she has this conversation at some point with Jackson. She was like, what if y'all try to fix it, try to bring it back together? Like, it's not cool that y'all are not cool anymore. Like, if anything at all can be done, at least have a conversation to dead this, to bed it, you know? So in Jackson's room, he invites Eden over. And so it's Eden, Jackson, and Grace, and they're chopping it up a little bit, and she makes them another little special blend of tea because that's her little thing or whatever. And then I think Grace starts getting a little lightheaded, a little lethargic. She's getting a little fatigued. She don't really know what's going on. And Jackson starts going crazy. He's like, I'm about to lose it. I'm about to go out of control. He starts getting aggressive. Aggressive, honey. He tells Grace, get out. Get out. I'm not safe right now. Get out. And she's like, Jackson, no. And he's like, get out. And so she's trying to get out, but she's kind of, she's kind of woozy. It's kind of giving deep drug a little bit. And ultimately it was. So it turns out that Eden drugged both of their drinks, maybe a little bit differently or whatever, or maybe it had different effects on them, whatever the case may be. So when Grace comes to, she is in the dungeons, the exact place she never wanted to be. But not only is she in the dungeons, okay, but she's like on a dais type thing. There's candles lit around. She's now dressed in some sort of white cloth type situation. There's a podium over here with the book open on it. And it's looking real like I'm about to be a virginal sacrifice right now. That's what it's looking like. And so she's trying to pull it together, but she's tied down, I think, with rope or something. So she's trying to get it together. She's trying to get up, and she can't really see. It's dark in there, and then she can hear Eden, though. Eden comes up, and she was like, oh, good, you're up. I need you awake for this. I need you alive for this, because I am actually going to sacrifice you. Ding, 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 you guessed right. Bitch, you guessed it. So there's a whole bunch of rigmarole that happens. And let me tell you something. This chapter, these couple of chapters I think actually in here was so... I was in it. I was shook. I was shaken. I was stirred. I was... so much happens. And I'm not going to spoil any of this part, but I mean, obviously she gets through it because the story has to happen. Okay, this is only book 1. But... oh girl, they go through it. They go through it. Getting from this point, from her waking up to the end point of her making it was. So by the end of it, we're gonna skip to the end of the big situation that happens, and she is beaten, she is battered, she is broken, she is bloodied, she is getting ready to clock out of her shift again for like the 4th or 5th time. Okay, she has gone through it. But also Jackson is beaten, battered, bloodied, broken, potentially going to clock out of his shift. I know you're thinking, I thought you said he was big, bad, and strong. Yeah, they went through it. They went through it. I'm trying to tell you, it was a lot. It was a lot. Okay, I said, listen. So all of the people in this story, the magical people, they call them paranormals. Okay, so they, for the most part, are immortal, but they can die. They are immortal, but they can die. They can be killed. Okay, and Jackson almost knocked on death's door today. So by the end of it, and here's the part that I really want to point out because it's important. This is going to mean something in the next book, okay? She's getting ready to bring Hudson back. She's got that book open. She's doing the hum da da la la la, okay? She's reading through the book and she's saying the sermons and all these things. She's casting the spell. Grace is not having it. She tackles her. She does something. I don't know. She rips the page from the book, throws it in the fire. Boom. Your plans have been ruined. This piece is even off. She beat her a little bit more. She kept chanting. She was like, you thought I wouldn't remember what the book says? Da, da, da. Anyway, there's a big black smoke that appears, like a giant black miasma. And it's looking a little sentient. It's looking a little, this isn't just your normal average smoke, right? And it's trying to go into Grace's mouth. So Grace is holding her mouth closed because she knows if she opens to scream, despite how much pain she's in, how scared she is, how worried for Jackson she is, if she screams, it's going to go in her mouth and all this is going to be for naught, right? That's probably Hudson, and that's how she's going to bring him back. I don't really understand the schematics of it all, but that's where we're at with things, right? So Jackson's telling her to keep her mouth closed. She's going to keep her mouth closed. Jackson starts like doing this number here. He's doing this and starts swirling the black smoke into like a tiny little condensed ball. So he's holding it like this right now. He's got like a little Kamehameha in his hands, right? And he takes that and he shoots it over at Eden, goes through her chest, knocks her over, kills her. She dies, she's gone. And the smoke kind of disperses. We don't know what happened to it. We don't know what happened to it. Now they're kind of in a perilous situation. Like, she's getting ready to pass out. It's terrible for her. Jackson is down. He's not looking too good. And she's like, let me go ahead and give him a little bit of my blood. So she cuts her wrist a little bit more, lets him drink from her or whatever. He almost couldn't stop. Okay, it's giving Edward. But he stops and he gets her to the infirmary again. She wakes up in the hospital, much like Bella did. And she's like, where am I? What happened? Where are we? So they heal to an extent and they're going to class. Couple days, okay, we're probably like a week in now. Maybe let's be generous. Let's be generous and say we're like a week and a half, okay? Maybe we're even at the 2-week mark that she's at this school. If we're being super generous in time, maybe we're at the 2-week mark, but I really think it's more like a week and a half. So they're beaten, they're battered, but they're healing, right? Okay. They're walking to class. Things are nice as he bends down to give her a kiss or whatever, and she opens her eyes and she sees Hudson behind him with the sword up, getting ready to shank his ass, getting ready to get him out of here. There's not enough time to do anything. There's not enough time to do anything, really. So the best that she thinks that she could do is she just switch. She flips him, turns around, bang, and epilogue. Now we're in Jackson's side. This is Jackson narrating at this point, and he says that Grace has turned to stone. She turned to stone because Grace is a gargoyle. Now, the school's freaking out. People haven't seen gargoyles in so long. There hasn't been a gargoyle born in the past 1,000 years. Grace is the first. She's starting over. She's like the Avatar getting reincarnated. She's the only one. She's the only one left because Cyrus Vega, Jackson and Hudson's daddy, killed all of them. Yeah, he went on a crusade and killed all of the gargoyles. Why did he do that? Well, apparently gargoyles were kind of like the peacemakers of the paranormal world, where they would keep the balance between vampires, witches, dragons, werewolves, all of everything else that exists out there. There are more things that exist out there, but we're dealing with the 4 here in the school, right? So they're the ones that keep the peace between everybody. They're like conduits where people can channel their energy and their magic and their things into the gargoyle for a certain amount of time. So the gargoyle has access to do everybody's powers for a certain amount of time on top of everything else that they were able to do themselves. Like, they are the powerful beings. They are basically the air nomads, and the vampires are the fire nation. They just wipe them all out, okay? The gargoyles gone, except for Grace. She is the newest one. She's the last one. So now that she's stuck in this stone phase, they're calling in all kinds of experts. They're calling all kinds of people in to try to figure out what's going on. But nobody really knows anything because gargoyles have been gone for so long, okay, that they only have what their textbooks are saying. Oh, it's a journey, honey. It is a journey. So, the one thing that they do know about gargoyle lore for sure is that they can turn themselves into stone at will, and they can turn themselves back at will when they're ready. So all they can do is wait for Grace to decide to come back. Now, of all the twists and turns that this storybook took, that was not one that I was prepared for. I knew that she had to have something to her. I knew she had to have something to her because the wolf said that she did. When she went to the library to speak to the librarian, she said that she could tell that Grace has something going on, but she doesn't know what it was. I was not expecting there to be gargoyles. So, final thoughts. I could deduce that something was going on at the school towards the beginning, halfway mark. In the beginning, when he said be careful about dragons, they're pretty dangerous. You can't trust a dragon, something like that. I was like, oh, I think there's dragons in this story because that seems pretty pointed. That seems like he's telling her, like warning her. I think there's dragons in the story. When they came in talking about, oh, well, you know, the moon makes us go a little crazy, I was like, there's werewolves here. There's werewolves here. And then with Jackson, I guess he would do this thing where he would be there suddenly and then he would be gone and she'd be looking around and trying to figure out, like, he moves real quick. I was like, I think he's a vampire. I think he's a vampire. And then he sent the Twilight book. I was like, I think he's a vampire. This is the same word. And then as far as the witches go, I mean, I'm not surprised that they're there too. You know, I mean, that's really cool. You know, I love representation, but I just think that it's so cool how all of these different elements came and started working together and intertwining together. And the fact that you don't find out that this is a magical school until Grace does, which isn't until like towards the middle endish of the book. Even though you're putting two and two together, when Grace is definitely not. Grace is listen, Grace, I like her as a character. I really do. She is not like a milquetoast character like Bella whatsoever. She is very much an active and present part of her own life. Okay? She very much has conviction. She has her standards, her morals, and she has things that she's willing to fight for. And she do fight. She got hands and she got feet. Okay? But she don't always do the thinking. And it bothers me a little bit because I'm sitting here putting two and two together to get four, and she's just not. But I will give Grace, because they are, what are they, 17, 18 years old or something like that. So they're not thinking, not everything's there yet. Not everything's developed. Not everything's happening for them yet. I'm over here 30 gang, okay? 33, and I'm picking up what the author's putting down, okay? So it's coming to me a lot quicker than it was coming to her. So I'll give her grace on that part. Also, on top of the fact that her parents passed away and you go to this new school and your life is completely upside down and you're trying to figure it out, and at no point would you ever think that witches, vampires, werewolves, and dragons are all sharing a space with you, because as far as she knows, it's like you and me. It's like you and me. We suddenly find ourselves in a completely different life situation, and now we find out that all of these things actually exist. That's probably not the first thing, second, or the third thing that you would jump to, I'm assuming. So I'm gonna give her grace on that. I love this story. I love that I was able to pick up the hints and the clues and start trying to figure out, because I'm telling my best friend, I'm like, girl, I think there's dragons in this book. I'm pretty sure this man is a vampire. I'm so certain it's 100% for me at this point. I think this girl just got attacked by werewolves. Like, I'm pretty, like, I love that I was able to put that together. And so by the end, when the cat was out the bag with the little bite marks and stuff, I was already there. You know, I was already there. I was just waiting for her to get there. Love, love, love this series. Cannot wait to see what happens next. I did do book 2, so I will be recording that soon and get into the meat and potatoes of that. And then after that, I am on the wait list on the Libby app, so I have to wait to hear what happens in book 3. But I'm so excited. This story, listen, Tracy Wolff did that. The suspense. Oh, I knew they would be okay. I knew that they would, because the story has to happen. We still got like 6, 7, 8 other books, okay? But I was really concerned. I was very concerned because the shape that they were in, I was like, but what if she kills off the mains and we continue with somebody else? Because it was looking grim. Girl, it was looking grim. Love this story. And if you guys enjoy it as much as I do, go ahead and tell me who your favorite character from book one is. For me so far, I really like everybody. I do. I really like Macy. I really like Grace. I really like Jackson. And I really like Flynn. Everybody has their faults, but everybody has something that really makes them endearing to me. I really think that everybody's really cool. They're real written. They're fleshed out. I feel like I know everybody's individual personality and how they're going to interact. And when new information is revealed, I can kind of guess how they're going to react to that. And it's really nice. I love it. And I will see you in Perfect 25.